Hi everyone, I made a presentation to my local PFLAG chapter this evening and I wanted to share it with you. It's about common concerns that parents of LGBTQ kids have. Even the most supportive, inclusive parents on the planet often will privately express concerns that they have about their kids and about their relationships. And I think it's important information to share. So if you know of anyone that you think might fall in that category, feel free to share this presentation with them. I'm going to turn my camera around, point it at my computer screen here. This is really summarizing a podcast that I listened to. It's called the Social Work Podcast, and it was episode 62. As I said, it was all about the concerns of parents of LGBTQ youth. And I wanted to reassure the people who are listening, the people who attended my presentation this evening, that just by reaching out, watching this video, looking for resources, you are already doing something that benefits your child. Studies show that if a child has even one supportive adult to walk with them and journey with them as they go through the process of figuring out their sexual orientation or their gender identity, that child is going to be better off in life. You are laying a good foundation. And so being here, being part of this presentation, looking for resources and support is a benefit to your child. I wanted to share with you a few statistics from a researcher named Caitlin Ryan. She did some research with adults who were lesbian, gay, and bisexual, and she asked them about the level of rejection that they experienced from their families when they were in adolescence. She found that LGBT adults who reported higher levels of family rejection during adolescence were 8.5 times more likely to attempt suicide, 6 times more likely to report high levels of depression, and 3.5 times more likely to report risky behaviors like use of drugs and engage in unprotected sex. That was as compared to their peers who reported low or no levels of family rejection as a result of their coming out as LGBTQ. Again, this demonstrates the importance of family involvement, family support, and family acceptance. So the majority of the podcast that I listened to was an interview with a therapist and researcher named Cynthia Conley. They were talking about her research. She was really asking this question: when LGBTQ plus youth come out to their parents, what concerns are their parents most likely to have? And she found 3 trends, 3 major areas of concern that most parents identified. And by the way, this research was conducted with families who attended PFLAG groups. That was how she connected with her research subjects. So she noticed, for one thing, that parents expressed a lot of concerns about their child's well-being. This broke into 3 subcategories of physical, social, and emotional well-being. Some examples of physical well-being were they were concerned, will my child be physically assaulted? Will my child receive access to good health care? Psychologically, will my child have low self-esteem? Will they be proud of who they are? Will they be a confident adult? Socially, will my child be verbally assaulted? Will they be able to make friends? Will they have equal civil rights? This all falls under the umbrella of worrying about their child's social, emotional, and physical well-being, a concern that parents have when their kids are coming out. A second concern that she noted is that parents are concerned about love loss, that their own relationships may suffer as a result of their child coming out. And it's hard for parents sometimes to admit that that's what they're concerned about, because mostly parents want to put their children's well-being and health first. And so they sometimes don't stop to think or really consider the ramifications for themselves. And they don't want to admit that they have concerns for themselves. They feel selfish, but that's a normal part of this process for parents. They worry about love loss. They wonder, will I lose my friends? Will my loved ones avoid me? How will this affect my social life? The best parents in the world still think about these things. It doesn't mean they don't love their kids. It doesn't mean that they don't support their kids, but they do have a grief process that they sometimes go through, and love loss is one of their major concerns. The well-being of their children is one of their concerns, and the third concern that was identified in this research was related to societal perceptions. Parents are worried. They wonder, will others deem me as a parenting failure? Will they blame me for my kids being LGBTQ? Will they say that I didn't spend enough time with my kid, that I wasn't nurturing enough, that maybe if they're religious people, they worry that their religious faith community will judge them and think that their faith wasn't strong enough. And so societal perception is one of the things that parents worry about. Specifically, there's a phenomena in social sciences called courtesy stigma. That's when society degrades or loses respect for a person because the person associates with someone who is stigmatized. So a parent, by standing up for and standing alongside their LGBTQ child, they are possibly going to be subject to this courtesy stigma or stigma by association. So this is something that parents have to work through as well. It's a concern that they have. Again, the parental concerns, the three major areas identified in the research. Parents are often concerned about their child's well-being, about love loss, and about societal perceptions. So the next question then is, how could we cope with those things? How do we move through those things? How do we get to a place where we are able to be supportive of our child? There are several suggestions that we have here. The first one seems really simple. It's to acknowledge our feelings. It's to stop and not only consider what our child is going through, and of course we want to think about what our child is going through and be sympathetic, but we also need to take time to think about how we're feeling and process that. And it's important for parents to understand we can love and support our children while acknowledging in appropriate forums that we are anxious, that we're sad, that we're worried, that we're grieving. You may not want to unload all of that on your kid who's coming out. They have their own issues and concerns that they're dealing with. But in a safe place, with a safe person who understands and is willing to listen, it's good to acknowledge your feelings, to talk about those things with other people who can relate and who won't view you or judge you in any way as being a bad parent for expressing these feelings. Again, these feelings are normal. They need to be processed. And so it's good to connect with other parents of LGBTQ youth exactly for this reason. So this is why I'm so invested in the PFLAG chapter in my area, because PFLAG is very interested in helping families build loving foundations, a place where their kids can flourish and grow. And we know that the more the parents are able to be supportive and helpful, the better it is for their kids. So PFLAG is a really great resource. Also, queer-friendly faith communities. You may look around your area and find some churches or temple or synagogue or whatever your spiritual faith is. You may want to look around for some queer-friendly communities. I also take a second to plug the parish, the account that you're seeing here on Instagram. We also have a public Facebook page, and on Facebook and here on Instagram, we are called at the Parish Online. Look us up. We are here to connect and support families as they go on a faith journey in coming to terms with their LGBTQ plus family member in a way that is loving and inclusive and accepting, and still recognizing that we can be people of faith in the midst of that. Stand with Trans is an organization that started here by me in Michigan, and I believe they now have support groups in all 50 states. So if your child is identifying as transgender or non-binary, gender fluid, and they are having conversations with you about diverse gender identities, Stand with Trans may be a really good organization for you. I almost forgot to mention Mama Bears. Liz Dyer, Dyer, is the leader of that group. They have a Facebook closed group specifically for parents of LGBTQ people. They also have a public Facebook page, and they have other groups that are open to allies. So Mama Bears is a great place for you to look. Finally, in coping with our concerns, we have to recognize our own coming out process. Parents need to be aware that you will be going through a coming out process too, even though you don't necessarily identify as LGBTQ. What's happening with your child is something that's going to require you to respond and react. And so how we deal with that coming out process is a big part of our relationship with our kids. So when you're thinking about coming out, ask yourself, how have you seen your loved ones, your friends, your community react to other LGBTQ people? That might be a good barometer, a good indicator of what you can expect when you come out and when your child comes out to the people in your life. It's important not to reveal information until you and your child are both ready to do that. No one can tell you when the proper time is to come out. That's something that you'll have to work on and figure out for yourselves. My recommendation is that you start with those who are safest, the people that you feel comfortable saying something really, really vulnerable to. Those are the people that you want to start with. And once you've said it a few times, it starts to get easier, and you're able to say it with more ease and with less discomfort. So start with the people that you think are safest when you do choose to reveal this information. When appropriate, talk with your child about anticipated reactions of various friends and family members. When appropriate means when you're both calm, when you've had some time to process. It's not appropriate to shout at your kid, "Oh my God, Grandma and Grandpa are going to freak out. Aunt Susie's never going to let you play with the cousins again. We'll never get invited to Thanksgiving." That's not the time to have that conversation with your child. All those things may be true, but the way that you present them and the way that you talk about them is significant. Be ready to help your kids frame it in a way that they realize they're going to be okay. Help them realize that if they don't feel welcome at family Thanksgiving anymore, that they're going to be all right, that your family is going to be all right, that maybe you have an opportunity then to bond with other families who are looking for like-minded people. Help them recognize there are other options, that there are other opportunities that are opening up, and be able to frame it for them in a way where they don't feel like their world is falling apart, where they know that you are a safe place, that you are okay, that your relationship with them is okay, and that they are going to be okay. Finally, this is hard to hear, but we have to recognize that change is inevitable. When your child comes out to you, it is going to change things. It's going to change things for them. It's going to change things for you. It's going to change things around you. And it's not unusual to spend some time grieving some of the things that you're going to maybe lose. It's not unusual to be angry about the fact that you have to deal with this thing that you didn't choose. Remember, your child didn't choose it either. And they are doing the best to cope with it, and they are looking to you. And so you hopefully will get to a place where you won't just think about what you and your child will lose, but also start to think about what you and your child will gain. That your child will gain wellness and wholeness as a result of being able to freely say who they are, to be able to be honest and not hide. That's a good thing for your child, and you may get to know a part of your child that you've never seen before, that's been locked away from you. You may get to know other people in your community that you never would have been able to make friends with before, where you now have things in common. You will meet new people. You'll have new experiences. And so as you prepare for your child to come out, I hope that you feel supported. Feel free to reach out if you need us. Best luck and best wishes to all of you.